Today's society is really interesting. We have a plethora of content encouraging people to, shoot for your dreams and level yourself up and do all these things and really go for it. But I think the overwhelming majority of people are currently not pursuing their max potential. And I think that a large part of the reason why is simply fear. Fear of other people's judgments, fear of failure, fear of looking silly, fear of, not making it work, fear of what their parents are going to say, fear of what their friends are going to say. And ultimately it's holding a lot of people back. And, I get it. It's a completely valid fear. Frankly, the world can be pretty ruthless and pretty unforgiving to those who put themselves out there and try and fail, especially in the eye of the public. If you're in that position, you're meant for much more, but you're really not going for it yet because of these fears of what if and worst case scenario and potential judgment. One thing that can help is something I heard Alex Hormozi say recently, which is he named the person specifically that the fear resided within. So instead of just saying, I fear people's judgment, find out who you actually fear the judgment of. Is it your mom? Is it your dad? Is it your friend? Is it your friend Joe from 10 years ago that you don't even talk to anymore? Who actually is taking up this real estate in your mind that is preventing you from going forward? And once you name this person, might be several people, it takes a lot of the energy away from the fear, because you're like, oh, this is the person that's preventing me from really going for it? Screw that. I'm not gonna let them control my life. And so I thought that was super profound. Another few little mindset things you can look at too is bringing yourself to the perspective that you're gonna die. And so we have this short life available to us that is an absolute gift. I think they calculated that it's a 1 in 400 trillion chance to become a human being. And if you're watching this video, you're probably in a relatively, developed country with a vast amount of opportunity at our fingertips. And so that's another lottery that you won. Whereas other people who also won the 1 in 400 trillion dollar human lottery were born into poverty or born into some section of the world that works for less than $1 or $2 a day, which is actually a large portion of humanity. And so again, if you're watching this video, you won multiple massive lotteries that, the monetary lotteries that we're used to wouldn't even compare. So just being here is an absolute gift. And so take that and use it as fuel to say, you know what, I'm here, I have one shot. Independent on whether you believe there's afterlife or next lives or past lives, whatever, you have one shot in this specific life and you might as well make the most of it. At the end of the line, when you're 90 years old, 100 years old, 120, 150 with today's technology, you're not gonna regret going for it and facing judgment. You're gonna regret not going for it. The regret you're gonna feel is what if. And I can promise you that flavor of regret is incredibly painful. In fact, the idea of that regret is largely what fuels me to keep the ball moving forward on a daily basis with my self-development and my vision, is because I will do whatever it takes to not experience that regret. And so get in touch with how nasty that would feel and ask yourself, is the judgment I'm gonna potentially face actually worse than that? Chances are you take judgment over regret 10 times out of 10. And the last thing I want to mention is oftentimes when we're fearing judgment to really go for something, we're like, oh, what's this person gonna think and this person gonna think? Oftentimes that person hasn't thought of you in 5 years. They don't know what you're doing, and if you did something new, they wouldn't even give a shit. And if you died, they probably wouldn't show up at your funeral. It's crazy how we let the judgment of people that aren't even in our lives or aren't even relevant to our lives control us. And honestly, even if it is someone that is close to you, that cares about you, like your parents or your friends or your siblings, again, ask yourself, would you rather face their judgment short term or face that nasty internal regret long term? I mean, there's no right or wrong, but you got to make that decision for yourself. Just ask yourself, are you selling yourself short in life right now? Are you not going for your max potential? Are you kind of shooting yourself in the foot? Are you settling in any way in regards to the version of yourself you could become or the life you can create? And then ask yourself why. Why are you selling yourself short? What are you scared of? Whose judgment are you scared of? What worst case scenario are you scared of? Define what that is. Define whose judgment you're scared of. Define what worst case scenario you're scared of. That'll help take a lot of energy away from that roadblock. And you'll say, hey, even if that happens, it's not so bad. Even if that person judges me, whatever, I'm gonna try it anyways. And then formulate a short-term plan of what are some action steps that I can take that are in my control today, this week, this month, and start to get the ball moving forward. And you'll find that you start to feel like $1 million, not because you've created any extraordinary external result right away, but simply because you're now finally directionally correct with your vision. You're now taking steps forward to what you truly want. And that feeling is priceless. And that's what I want for you if you're currently not creating it for yourself.